Hi, and welcome to another video on the Target Individual Experience, the Target Individual Program. Let's see if I can get a little more light. Okay, so uh, next video, again, I'm going to talk about the psychological programming, psychological triggering, specifically the attack patterns to put the victims on the psychological defense. The grading themes can be used to put a person or victim on the defense or physical defenses, psychological defenses. Some example of using the grading themes is to make insinuation that the victim is a criminal or a pedophile. An example of an attack pattern used in psychological harassment or psychological warfare is make an insinuation that the victim is a criminal or pedophile to put the victim on the defensive, followed by threats to induce the fight or flight response or to induce fear. Not also that, but using, again, microwave and psychological manipulation to uh, use those around the target or the target individual to engage in psychological warfare or to shut the person out so that when they talk about what's happening to them, the response from the people around them is negative because they feel negative because the idea of someone telling them that these technologies exist and it's being used in them is something that they just don't want to hear. They will not respond to it well, and they will treat you as if you're crazy or what have you, and not take you seriously. And that is the exact purpose of the Coercive Persuasion Program, is to discredit you, the TI. Okay, so another thing that they do prior to engage in this type of behavior, in this type of non-consensual human experimentation, is to psychologically manipulate you to put you in what is called a catch-22. So psychological construction are when a condition is built into a person's psychology. One example is the term catch-22 and the use of degrading theme or pedophilia to prevent victims from coming forward to prevent exposure. Though there is no, I'm just putting that in there, but it says there is no catch-22 is a psychological construction or belief that has been built into the victim to restrict or prevent the victim from exposing the perpetrator of a crime. Okay, so another example is the uh, fear of fear. The importance of fear is built up. A psychological construction is built up a psychological construction where previous there was no importance in fear. After the build-up process of inducing a high importance on fear, a normal emotion in people, if the victim experienced fear, his ego or psychology can be devastated to bring them crashing down. Again, deception to prevent exposure, the psychological manipulation of the pretense of deception of wanting a false confession, the threat of wanting false or pretense of wanting false confession to prevent exposure. In other words, wanting or using the deception of wanting a false confession has the opposite or reverse effect. The victim sees all communication or cooperation. Okay? So it says here you would believe or think that torture is used to obtain truth, but it actually used in many cases to do the opposite. Okay, in some cases, the confession involved the psychological construction of a catch-22 or degrading themes, and psychiatry or law enforcement. And then followed by subtle attacks, hidden, doubtful, uncertain, and psychological defenses. Okay, all right. So um, this is again from the website psychologicalharassment.com. Now let's talk about the technology part of it and what I've been talking about, which is called silent sound spectrum. Okay, and this is from Dr. Richard Allen Miller, who've actually worked on the technology and knows about this. Okay, and so he on his website, uh, talks about silent sound, the sound of silence, the antithesis of freedom, a secret Pentagon psychotronic technology known as Silent Sound Spread Spectrum (SSSS) that has been fully operational since the early 1990s. This technology was used against battle-hardened Iraqi troops fortified in deep underground bunkers in Kuwait and Iraq in the first Gulf War in January of 1991. The physical, emotional, and psychological effect of this technology was so severe that hundreds of thousands of Iraqi troops surrendered en masse without firing even a single shot against the US led coalition force. The numbers reported in the news were a staggering 75,000, and then another 125,000 or more Iraqi troops would come out of their deep desert bunkers, waving white flag and falling to their knees before approaching US troops, and literally kiss their captors' boots or hand if given the opportunity. Why would 8-year veterans of Middle Eastern warfare, when I ran from 1980 to 1988, behave this way? Simple. They were subject to a technology that was so extreme and incomprehensible that they were suddenly reduced to the level of compliant children and felt grateful to still be alive in the wake of their mind wrenching experience. The technology is about to be used. Albert, in a more subtle fashion, against American citizens in a highly classified and covert operation to mind control and manipulate the entire population into compliance with our New World Order overlords. The technology will utilize a combination of hop transmitter, brain towers, microphone cell phone towers, and soon to be mandatory high definition digital TV that will enter your home via A cable, B satellite, C HD TVs, or D, those also easy to obtain digital converter box that the government is so anxious to help you obtain and rewrite and underwrite most of the costs on your behalf. Okay, and then he talks about the history of artificial telepathy, which I'm not going to get into. You guys can uh, go to richardallenmiller.com. You can read up about this stuff. He has a wealth of information on here. All right, so let's go to the video. Okay, let me just do this. All right, so this is this morning. This is today's date is Wednesday, April 17th. Okay, so this morning, taking the kids to school, and I had just dropped them off, and uh, as soon as I dropped them off, I heard the fire trucks. Now, thankfully, I took up my phone, and even though there's just a small glimpse of them passing by, you can definitely see and hear them. Now, they did not turn on their sirens until they got, I guess, close to the intersection of the block in which my kids go to school. So you will see them here just passing by. I'm going to pause it. Okay, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to play it again. Okay, now watch this. Okay, and this is around 8:20 in the morning. That's the time my kids go to school. Like I said, they don't stop. Okay, so here I am. I'm about to walk under the scaffold, and you'll see this guy here. He's on the left. You hear the sirens because again, they know I'm about to expose what it is that they're doing. So this is what they do, and you guys hear this every time I do a video. You guys will hear sirens in the background. That's because of their displeasure, because I'm exposing all that they are doing. Okay. So, and again, this is about non-consensual human experimentation. Okay, and the deception is within the psychological operation of the psychological warfare against the TI. As I've read, it is to silence the TI from coming forward, from talking about what it is that they have done and what it is that they're doing. Okay, so you see, he comes out. He's going to look at the woman here, and again, the red theme is at play. So she's wearing a red sweater, and he's going to wait until she passes by. Okay, she's with her uh, child, and again, these people all work together. Okay, and this is all planned. Okay, so you see, he stands there, and you see he holds up a paper. He looks in my direction. Then he's gonna look at her, the woman in the red sweater. Now, as she passed, you'll see he comes out. And he's looking. He looked at me. Now you see she does this. Okay. Okay, so let's go. So now what they're doing is that they're doing hand signals further away so that the camera on my cell phone will not be able to show them properly because they're too far away. Okay, so again, just to show you guys how meticulous and intricate these people and technological in terms of knowledge, they're very much, knowledgeable, way knowledgeable, because again, we're dealing with those within law enforcement, those within the security agencies who engage in non-consensual human experimentation. So they will give the civilian perpetrators, uh, information. Hey, when you're at this distance, do hand signals. Then you know the camera that on his cell phone would not be able to pick it up because of the sensor and because of the distance. So again, they give them the information, and when I start to see how they do these hand signals now, and not all of them, but some of these perps, they do it far away. It shows me that these people are well aware of what it is that they're doing. And again, not all these perps know about the technology. They don't know. Not all of them know about the silent sound spectrum, which is basically using radio wave and microwave broadcasting on the same brainwave frequency as human beings in order to control them, and they do it in very subtle ways. So for me, being that I have been illegally microchipped, the chip is acts as a sender receiver, so they're able to read my thought and they're able to send uh, you know messages, information to me, and then the silent sound spectrum, which is broadcast in on a wide area. Now the some civilians are going to be do things that that is meant to trigger me, and then others who knows who have been given detailed information, they're going to do things that in which that they're going to try to target me, but then they're going to try to make it look so obvious. So that's why some of them, they target me from afar, right? Instead of getting close to me, they'll target me from afar. Just this woman here coming with her daughter, okay, and she starts doing these hand signals. All right. Let's see if you get a good picture of her. Okay, so she was doing it from afar, so that way the camera on the phone will not be able to pick it up. Okay, and then you'll see others. Uh, they're going to do it. Um, it's like once they start, some of them they just can't stop. So it doesn't matter if I have a camera recording; they're gonna follow through. Okay, and again, that may be because of the technology. All right, so let's go back here. not her, but this woman that's coming. Uh, she has the black jacket and the orange shirt on, and again you'll see she does this. And again, I've shown this plenty times what they do. Okay, another person here is wearing all black. She sees me, she sticks her finger in her ears. And as she walked past me, again, this is a teenager. Again, because like I said, lately they're using a lot of teenagers, a lot of children. And you'll see her here again. Let's go back. And again, what does she do when she's looking at me? Right? Okay, and as you'll see another teenager, as he gets close, he opens his mouth so I can see his tongue. Again, it's just a masking technique, whereas some of them would just stick their tongue at me uh, to not make it so obvious. What some of them are doing now is that they'll open their mouth, but I'll see their tongue. All right. So as I approach, he starts touching his clothes, and as he turns, see what he does right here. Okay. Now, whatever it is he's chewing, before he did that, he had his mouth closed, and after he opened his mouth, so I could see his tongue, as he walked by, he had his mouth closed. Continues as he continues chewing. Right. So just to show you that it is done purposeful. Okay. Okay. So now you'll see again another teenager right here. He's wearing the Gap sweater. As he approaches me, you'll see he does this. But before he does that, he sticks his tongue out. Okay? I just want to. Missed it. I got to pause it right. You'll see. Okay, so. Well, I didn't get it, but you guys can always uh, pause it and let it play. But it was very quick. And so now he does this. Okay? That right there. All right? Missed it. Let's go back. So it was after he did that, actually. Here he goes. Let's go back. I got to pause it at the right moment. Okay. All right. Well, I didn't get it this time. But you see as he walks by how he raised his hands. Okay. And he placed his thumb against his face. See that? Okay. See, this is why I love recording, because you can always pause the video. You can always go back to look and see what it is that they were doing, and show it. Right. So this was me coming back again from dropping the kids off. So now this afternoon I went to pick up my son, um, and as I got to the intersection, I got to start recording, because the reason being is that they're using these teenagers to prod me to walk into my personal space in front of me, and they're using a lot of these uh, teenage girls, right, to bump into me and stuff like that, or you know, in a and the way it's being done is to uh, have me bump into them and maybe hit their chest or what have you. Because again, what they're running is what is called a pedophilia theme, right? And so they're using these teenage girls to kind of like brush up against me or step in front of me where if I have to turn, I'll like actually hit them like what happened the other day with that situation. And so that's why, as I reached the corner, I took out my phone because I really wasn't going to record, because I figured, what, I had enough this morning. But I was like, okay, you know what? Let me do it anyway, just in case they continue on with this, so I can show. And also, let me just say this, right? That the architects of this program are the ones that set the narrative, right? So in terms of trying to insinuate and say, well, hey, if he's talking about this, then he must be guilty of it, right? But again, this is what they do, and because they are in the authoritative position, okay, there is no one to counter what it is that they're saying. And that's why I do this, to show people that this is happening. And if by chance any psychiatrist or psychologist is looking at my video, okay, they can see themselves as I explain what is taking place, and possibly say, well, you know what, it is happening, and just because he's talking about it is because he's been conditioned to recognize these patterns. Again, the use of dark NLP, the use of dark psychology to condition your mind, right? So as there's a paragraph on psychologicalharassment.com that talks about, well, who questions the professionals, right? Who checks the professional? Okay, just as how you have checks and balance in the government, in corporate America, you may have human resources to, try to iron out any type of conflict between employees and employer or within employees themselves. When it comes to psychiatry, okay, who is responsible for uh, checking, keeping a check and balance within psychiatry? Because we know a lot of people are placed into mental institution because the government wants to shut them up. Okay, we know that a lot of people, even within the police force, if a black police officer complains about racism, what do? They send him to the psychiatrist. Then the psychiatrist determine that this person is delusional or paranoid, and they're given a label. So understand this: just because I am explaining what it is that's being done to me, okay, if I'm explaining how they use teenagers, particularly teenage girls, that bump into me and stuff like that and push at their chest against me, doesn't mean that I'm a pedophile. What it means is that these people want to create a narrative. These people want to put the idea in my mind, because when they do it continuously, again, it's a form of conditioning. Okay, so this is what they do, and I want you guys to understand this, right? So, like I said, who is in charge of checking these people, right? And if there's any uh, person out there who is not a target individual and who have been labeled with a mental illness because they spoke out and spoke the truth, you know, would be able to understand exactly what I'm talking about. Okay. So again, You hear the sirens in the background. Okay, and then you see this teenage girl. As she walks towards me, she pinches her nose. Okay, and now they have another teenage girl standing there waiting for me, and then you'll see again she starts touching her clothes. She's grabbing her clothes now. Again, little kid in the blue jacket. Let's go back slightly. After she does her thing, little kid in the blue jacket. Now remember on my last video I talked about what it is that they just started doing. So instead of now covering their mouth like they would normally do, now they'll have their hands open, like how this kid has his hands open, and he's going to touch his face. Okay, and so now they have again a young kid doing the exact same thing. All right. Now you'll see again, and I should have turned the phone to get a better angle, but he's going to grab his butt, and then you see the female security guard, the same one that grabbed her behind in the previous video that I did. She starts to do the hand signal with the hand behind her head. Then she starts to play with her hair. Okay. So now she's playing with her hair. Again, this is how they mask the harassment technique. Okay, now again you'll see two teenagers come out of the building. Again, this is all synchronized movement with me. So he turns, he stares at me because again they got to do the staring campaign. All right, to get your attention. Okay. Now you'll see she takes her hands and she's covering her mouth. And I had to walk around her, and she took her hand down because I would have actually turned the phone to record what she was doing. But again, they're very smart at masking their tactics. Okay. Okay, let's go. And this is crowded. This is what this is purposely done. All right. So these teenagers walking slow in front of me, blocking me from passing, because again, it's a subliminal message that they normally would do in terms of blocking the target, right? So, for example, blocking you from talking to uh, the opposite sex, blocking you from having fun, blocking you from engaging with people. So from time to time, they will do stuff like this. Okay, and again, it's done purposeful, and I purposely, and again, recognizing the tactics of what it is that they're doing. Okay, so now you'll see this teenager here in the headphones. Now you'll see him do the what is called the fixation drill with the palm I've been talking about. Look at what he does here. Okay, so again, let's go. And then he drops his hands, and this is what he does in front of me. Okay, and it's done on purpose, and they know exactly what it is that they're doing. They know exactly what it is that they're doing, and I'm gonna show you how they know. Okay, let's go back, and I'm gonna show you that this is being done on purpose. Okay, so now when he does that, okay, and he does this, okay, he's gonna turn. Now look at this guy. You'll see here walking with his daughter. See, he has his hands up. What he's doing, he is doing this. He is telling me to shut up. So this is what he's doing. Okay, and then he brings his hand down. Okay, so again, right, this is all orchestrated, and the amount of time and effort that these people go through in creating and developing these type of tactics and the engagement that it takes, right? I mean, come on, you know, you got to wonder what is it about me that make them engage in this type of behavior against me. But again, it is the psychological uh, conditioning. It is the propaganda that is being spread. It is the cover up of non consensual human experimentation that they thought that by creating these psychological construct to keep me silent is not working. Okay, why is it not working? Because the information is out there about what it is that they're doing, and they've done this in the past to a lot of people. Okay, and a lot of people have become silent because they had no idea, they did not know, but now we know exactly what it is they're doing. Okay, and like I said, hopefully doing these videos will shed more light on what it is that they're doing. Okay, so let's go back. All right, so I'm entering the schoolyard, and normally, I don't videotape within the schoolyard, but the targeting, the psychological harassment from the civilian was so intense that I had to record because I knew I was going to get something. Okay, and when I reviewed this video, you know, yeah, I pretty much did. Okay, so let's play the video, and I'm going to talk about what's happening here. Okay, so you see again the use of different age group. So now you're going to see this older woman and this older guy. They were sitting there. Um, when I had just sat down, and they started targeting me, both of them. Okay, and so you'll see the older lady comes into the yard. Now the older gentleman or the older man is going to come. He's going to stand up there. Okay, so there she is. She's staring directly at me. Again, what is called the stare campaign, or the staring tactics to get your attention. Okay, then she's going to turn around and walks off. So now, again, you'll see this young girl. She comes in, and we talk about the fixation drill with the palm of the hand, and how some of them try to mask it by putting their hands to their face, but slightly turning it so I can see. Right. So again, you'll see she's looking directly at me now. Okay. Okay. So now she leaves. Right. I'm talking about the older lady. All right. And she's gonna go back in the corner. She sits down. So again, I want you guys to understand this, right? When I first walked into the yard and I sat down, they were targeting me. Okay. Then she came into the yard, stand across from me, you know, trying to be not so obvious because again they didn't think I was recording. I didn't have the phone up in a position where they would think that I was recording. I had the phone down and I had both my hands on the phone, but I had hit the because I was hiding the screen because what they'll do is that they'll have these kids on the other side of me to see if I'm recording. If I'm recording, they will do hand signals and then they won't target me. So I use one hand to block the screen so they couldn't see, and then the other hand to hit the record button on the phone. Okay, so this kid here, again, uh, they use him, all right, to target me as he was standing not directly across from me, but a little bit up where I couldn't get him on camera. He stood there, doing all these hand signals, targeting me. Okay, and now you're gonna see this woman comes in holding her son. Okay, and then what does she do? Right, see that? Okay, now you see she looks at me and smiles. Okay, because again, they think it's funny. They think it's funny, and it's not funny. Okay, but just to show you the sadistic nature of those who are involved in these type of coercive persuasion program, this type of psychological warfare, psychological campaign uh, against targeted individuals, right? Because again, they think it's funny. Now you see here, if you look at this kid's hand, again, he's making his finger like a gun. All right, again, sending subliminal threats, right? Okay, so now this guy now again wearing a Gap shirt. Okay, he's gonna come in. All right, I want you to see the hand signal with the middle finger. Let's go back slightly. All right, as he put his phone in his pocket, he's doing this. All right, and this is what I do to them. I don't do this to them, but when I put my phone in my pocket, I do it where my middle finger is sticking out. And so they're going to now take what I'm doing to them and try to use it against me. All right. So you'll see here, see, look at his hands, his middle finger sticking out. Okay. There it is again. Now see the hand signal, 4 fingers. Okay. As he put his hands on his pants and tries to be very slick about it. Okay. So he turns around, looking in the direction of the older lady that was sitting down. You'll see how he'll keep looking over at me. Okay. Okay, right there. It's looking at me. Okay, looks at me again. Okay, so the guy comes in, covers his mouth, touches his ears. Now he's going to do this, right? And he's going to pinch his nose, does this. I don't mean to trigger anybody, but he does this. Okay, now he's doing this. Looks at me again. So again, like I said, they will always find a new recruit who thinks that he has the biggest balls, okay, to start targeting me, okay. And what these people don't understand as of yet is that, you know, when you send these new recruits, you know, they don't do anything, okay. So you're wasting your time. Send seasoned veterans. Maybe in the beginning of my targeting, when I was so screwed up psychologically about what was happening to me, you know, you might have been able to affect me using these new recruits. Okay, but now, you know, I've been in this program for going on 20 years. You're gonna have to send some seasoned veterans if they want to target me to affect me. Okay, in the manner in which you would like. Okay, but again, when you study this program and understand what it's all about, you understand the technology now. So there's no question. All right, you understand that you're being microwaved, and the people around you are being microwaved, and they're acting on whatever instruction is being sent to them. Right? They're not even thinking about it. Some of them know, and some of them don't know. Okay, so and the difficulty as a TI is trying to figure out who knows and who doesn't know. And sometimes that can be very difficult, but other times they make it very obvious who knows and who doesn't know. Okay. I need to play this video in its entirety so you guys have a full understanding. So now the next perp, next adult perp. So she walks in, and you'll see she has her keys in her hand. And as she gets close to me, you'll see now she starts to jingle the key. And I've talked about this in previous videos, even on my show and talk show in the past, of um, what used to happen when I was going to court. Every time the court officers would walk past me, they would put their hands on their keys, right? Can usually have their keys on the hook on the side, and they would shake it. This is every single time I appear, whether it be when I was taking my kid's mom to court for custody of my son, you know, and then when uh, they use her to falsely accuse me of assault and had me arrested. I was going to court for that. And then again, it was strategic because I was taking her to court to get custody of my son because she basically kidnapped him and sent him out the country. So they went to her, said, "Hey, we can help you," and then use her to uh, say that I assaulted her, which I didn't. They didn't take any pictures of that at all. And the list of charges that was, you would think that the charges that was listed, that, regardless of whatever, I would be in jail, right? I would have been sent to jail, right? But it never happened. And what they did is that her lawyer came to me and said, if I drop the custody suit, she will not show up to court, and I have to go to court for a year, and the case will be dismissed. Now, again, they didn't take any pictures. Now, if I had done what I was being charged with, they would have taken pictures because the charge was so severe. The charges were so severe, so they would have taken pictures, and regardless of whether she came or not, they would have had the pictures, right? But again, nothing happened, right? I went to court for the year. I was happy. But this, when I was going to court, this is what they were doing. So now again, they're going to rehash these old conditioning uh, tactics that they used against me. And so now this woman's going to come up. You'll see her walk. And as she walks close to me, now you see she starts jingling the keys in her hand. Okay? So again, now here we go again. Okay? I want you to pay special attention. I'm going to try to pause it at the right moment so you guys can see this. So as the perp comes in, he sticks his tongue out, and then he goes like this. Okay? Let's go back a little. See the woman here. Okay, let's pause it right here. Let's go. Again, and I missed it. So, again, the use of children as he walks out, palm of his hand, towards me. Again, that's the fixation drill with the palm, the open palm. Okay, so now, as you see right here, so now this guy coming into the schoolyard, you'll see he sticks his tongue out right there. Okay, if you look, you'll see he sticks his tongue out. Okay, and then he goes and does this. He goes again, does it again. Okay, and then what does he do? Like I said, all right. Okay, so again, I'm not going to put the rest of it, um, but I think I've shown enough to let you guys see and understand through my explanation of what it is that they're doing and their action, that you can clearly see, right, that they are engaging in these type of silent subliminals, okay, these type of psychological harassment against me, okay. And again, they're getting their instruction from those within law enforcement who are the very religious based group of people, all right? Because when you look at these types of programs, specifically thought reform, mind control, it usually happens in cults within the government, government programs. So those two entities have come together, has merged together to create a super cult, like I said, with the use of the silent sound spectrum, which is to control people's mind without them even becoming aware of it. Okay. And so, like a lot of times when I would talk to Pam about stuff that she was doing, she would get upset, saying that I'm not doing anything and this and that. So it caused a lot of friction in our relationship over the years. And I guess that's where, why our relationship is strained right now is because of it. And again, you know, at the time, it was even using on my kids, but I used to just ignore it because I know it wasn't them. But with her, I couldn't ignore it, because I'm like, she's an adult and I think she knows what she's doing because not also that, but I would do things to test my theory, right? And every time I test my theory, she would prove me right. So whenever she does something, I would do so. I would like let's say she walks uh, towards me, uh, away from me, and then she puts her hands behind her back with her palm open, and I would tell her, you know, hey, this is what you're doing, and then she would do it again. And when she would do it again, I would walk in front of her and do the same thing to her. Okay, and then she would become quiet for like a minute. She wouldn't say anything to me, right? So to me, that shows me that you're fully aware because when I do it to you, it affects you, right? So that means that you are aware of what you're doing to me. But again, that was my thinking, but it may not be so because over the past year or so, I began to notice that people were targeting her at times. So, you know, still trying to figure out that one out. You know what I'm saying? But what I've been able to do is not let what she's doing, emotionally uh, affect me to the point where, we get into these arguments like we used to do in the past. Okay. And so, um, you know, for the sake of the kids too, I don't want to have to constantly be arguing with her and back and forth and stuff like that. So I just decided, you know what, same as how I ignore it with the kids, I'll try to ignore it with her. And it's hard. It's hard. Like I said, the other night when she was in bed, I just came to her to ask a question, and she, you know, not outright stuck a middle finger at me, but she kind of raised her middle finger up, you know. And then so I said, okay, let me see if she's going to do it again. So I went and I gave her a kiss on the cheek, and she did the same thing. And I did it 3 times, give her a kiss on the cheek 3 times, and she did the same thing, you know. And I was like, and she was tired too. So I was saying to myself, you know what? It's probably the technology at this point, us being microwave because we're continuously being microwave. Because she gets headaches, my kids get headaches, I get headaches. Okay. And then recently she's been saying, she don't know why she's so tired and so drained. And again, because of the microwave. Just like today, because last night we're being bombarded with microwave, that I was literally drained. Me, I have good energy, right? So I was really drained today. That I was out. I fell asleep without even knowing it. Last week I was on the phone with another TI. We were talking, and I woke up like 2 hours later, thinking that I'm still on the phone with this guy, right? But I wasn't. It was 2 hours later, and how I woke up because another TI ended up calling me, and then I had to send him a text and say, "Hey, man, I didn't realize that I just fell asleep without even knowing it. It seemed like a second, because when I woke up, and I was like, did Ralph hang up? Because my phone rang, and like, did Ralph hang up? And then I realized when I look at the time that 2 hours had gone by. Didn't even realize it. But that's what the technology does. Okay, so um, this is it for the video. I hope I able to show again my experience in this program and what it is that they're doing. And you can't see the technology being used, not the technological directed energy technology, because again, you're talking about invisible uh, microwave spectrum at play. But hopefully, the psychological aspect of the program, I'm able to show the coercive persuasion that's taking place. Okay. All right, that's it for the video. I'll see you guys in the next video.